Join Sean and Brad as they talk about sports and share a beer. From the east coast of Canada to the west coast of the United States. Over to you, boys.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Sean and Brad here again. I don't know. It feels like a pandemic, so we don't even keep track of the weeks anymore. It feels like episode 7 maybe is where we are.
I think we're at episode 7, yeah.
Yeah. So big time today. We're excited to share our guests with you. Sean and I have been plotting on this for a little bit. So Sean, busy week, but how are you, my friend?
Not bad. It has been a busy week. I've been busy trying to keep up with sports, trying to keep up with my job, and also trying to, just survive day to day, it seems like sometimes. But I've been so thankful for Monday and Thursday night games. Yeah.
If there's ever been a reason why we started this whole deal, I think this week was it, right? Just the crazy world we navigate life as we know it today. And, with the sports, I think we need this more than ever. Hey, today I'm rolling out this Bell Breaker from Yakima. I have friends over there. Golden Grit is the name of this beer. It's an IPA. So it's a much needed break for me.
Man. So first off, my friends at Nine Lock Breweries are going to have to make an apology. Last week, I ended up talking about your Frig Off there, which is an East Coast IPA, not a double IPA. But thankfully, the manager of their social media, Dave, he was so kind in order to reach out to correct me and left a 4-pack of a double IPA here from your friendly brewers of Nine Lock Breweries here. And it is called the Fathom Double IPA. Now, if you can tell on this, it is a diver that's on there covered in a lot of green.
Your vanity light covers up the cans. So.
I know. Here, let me try that. There we go.
Now we're in business.
There we go. So you can see that there. So this is a double IPA. As I told you before, I am not a fan of Indian Pale Ales, but this double IPA, even though as hoppy as it is, it's a very smooth finish. I was wondering why. I was reading about it in the back here. So basically, Fathom is an epic hazy double IPA brewed for hop lovers. It has an intense hoppy aroma leading to strong orange stone fruit flavors that finish soft and dry. So it's really good. And what I really liked here, I chuckled about this in the ingredients. Literally, they wrote down water, hops, malts, more hops, yeast, and even more hops. And love.
I love it. Thanks for being a friend of Guys Beer Sports. We appreciate you. Sean, you need to figure out a way to send me one or two of them cans. That sounds.
Oh, buddy, yeah, they are definitely on point. So
yeah, cheers, my friend.
Cheers,
Dave. Appreciate you again, buddy. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So, Game 4 of the Stanley Cup playoff.
Yeah,
very competitive. Dallas comes out basically 2-0. And of course, Tampa fights back, goes to 4-4 into overtime. And then what I was reading here,
4-4?
4-4 into overtime. Like it was a game.
It feels like it's urgent, right? Like it feels like those guys are really bringing their game.
Absolutely. And so the big controversy comes at 5 minutes and 10 seconds of the overtime here, where Jamie Benz called for tripping Tyler Johnson at that mark. And this is the referee here, Francis Chiron. I don't know how long he's been reffing, but basically he claimed that Ben kicked the skates out from Tyler Johnson. When they actually had a look at the replay, it clearly shows that wasn't the case, but because of that, Tampa converted on the power play to win Game 4. So, I mean, basically what it's saying here from what I can see, what the quote here is that the ref's got a tough job. I see it in front of him. Referee Kelly Sutherland, he's got a great look at it. The back refs call it. So here's the thing. So you got your head ref and the back ref is calling it. Why in the world are you letting the back ref call something like that obviously leads to a victory? If you are the ref right in front of you, why are you letting this back ref call this? And it just goes to say, okay, it's the same in football. Why all these refs just slowing down and doing something, especially in overtime. Overtime, to me, that is the time the whistle goes in the pocket. Like, it goes in the pocket. Yeah. You don't decide a game through overtime.
You get a call the last 2 minutes of a football game, not in the last minute and a half of a basketball game. Does the NHL not have replay?
They do have coaches' challenges, right? So, I mean, they do have replays on goals. So here's the thing. I'm going to have to double check that there, because honestly, I don't believe that there is a challenge in overtime.
Like the last 2 minutes of a half in the NFL where like it's only initiated somewhere else. Is that the move? They just didn't want to initiate. That just feels cheap, right?
I
think like the NFL this year and not allowing pass interference challenge, those things, like those challenges feel like the game, they don't interrupt the game flow, right? In the NBA, it's atrocious.
Yeah.
Like replay in the NBA is terrible.
Oh, yeah.
It slows the game down. They need to have a clock. They've got to have a spot to get it. It's terrible. It sounds like the NHL doesn't have it figured out either. It's unfortunate that they're learning that in, really a decisive game 4, a pivot of a series, right? And so, Tampa's not learning, right? Tampa's the favorite, right?
They're the favorite, yeah, absolutely.
They won the game, but at the same time, like you're looking at a 4-4 game, an overtime game, a wildly competitive game, and it's taken away by someone who's there to enforce the rules.
But it's not even the guy there. Like, it's not even the guy in front of it. It's this back ref that's calling this play, and then they don't even – because like even in the NFL, they'll have a little powwow about the call and what happened there, but it's just done, right? And so that takes you off. Secondly, it's a back-to-back, so they're playing again tonight. So essentially, you could be looking at a new Stanley Cup champion tonight. It's hard to even believe that a month and a week ago, we were talking about the beginning of the NHL playoffs, and here we are now at the Stanley Cup Finals, about to be crowning maybe potentially a Stanley Cup champion off of such a crummy call from last night's game.
Well, I guess we're really going to find out what Dallas is made of.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they're going to either rebound and they're going to be all about it, or they're going to fold up and die, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That I like to gamble a little bit. I like to dabble in the gamble, I was going to bet tonight. I'm betting Dallas.
You're betting Dallas?
Well, what they've shown us. They just have shown us that that's who they are, right? We know that they're tough. We know they're resilient.
Yeah, they are. And
they're sure they wouldn't fold now. But.
My biggest thing, though, is that, so because back-to-back games, usually that goaltender at the start of the game before is not going to be the goaltender starting that night. Yeah. So to me, that's the only scary part I have about Dallas. Because, and same thing with Tampa. But the thing is, though, is that with Dallas, I've just seen Ben Bishop fold, and Hudobin, if they're going to not play him, then you're really relying on Ben Bishop.
Yeah, I think they have to play him. You got to go with a hot hand. In an elimination game, all the strategies out the window, because you don't have a next game. There's not a next game promised, right?
Not a next game.
Elimination games in the NBA, you'll see guys go for 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Their normal rest period, they don't get it because there maybe won't be tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaker.
All good.
Okay. What a hassle.
Sorry for your trouble, Stan. Good morning. It's good to see your face.
No, you don't want to be looking at this face, I'll tell you that.
Oh, well, it's better, I think, than talking on the phone. I think, anytime we can see each other, that seems to be
Okay.
Stan, we are so honored to have you here on this show. Both Brad and I are extremely excited, and we got a few questions for you. And thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come on here.
No problem. Sorry about the hassle.
Not a problem for us.
Update Microsoft the same time we're doing it now.
I know earlier on this podcast here, my wife called me a Luddite. I had to look up this. I had to look it up what it meant, because I had no idea. And then I realized that it explains me perfectly.
There you go.
So it's okay, Stan. Fellow Luddites are welcome here.
There you go. Yeah.
So Stan, we man, I don't even know where to start here, because first off, you were training me in Krav Maga, and I remember looking you up when I was sailing in Japan, going, I'm going to be moving to Victoria soon. I want to find myself a great place to go to. And I remember looking at you going, man, this guy's got credentials left, right, and center. But I really didn't know anything about you until I was there. And then I realized to myself, this guy is no joke. This is the real deal. And then looking you up on Black Belt Magazine, all of your credentials, all of your titles, I'm in awe. I'm in absolute awe that there's like a handful of fighters that have fought for 5 decades. Like you could literally count them on your one hand, and you are one of these people. Yeah. And having done that, I do have to ask, what was the feeling every time you would go down into a fight?
I was scared shitless. This whole process, everybody thinks martial arts is about kicking and punching, but it really, the big picture is that you find out who you are, and you find out a lot about yourself. And as a little kid, I got bullied, and that fear stayed with me. And I didn't, obviously I didn't like it because I quit hockey and joined a karate club because I got tired of getting beat up. And but it didn't matter how much I learned. I was always thinking, well, one day I won't have that fear, and it didn't matter. Actually, by the time I got black belt, I think I had more fear because now I had to live up to something that I didn't know. It was the strangest thing. But what you find is, the biggest thing I learned was to learn how to deal with fear, how do you control fear? They say fear is your best friend. If you don't have fear, we do foolish things. We walk off cliffs and do stupid things. And so it's in us, but the difference is the guy who can control fear, and that's what I've been in the Krav. It doesn't matter how many techniques I could show you, punch, kick, choke holds, all that. If you don't have the mindset and to get over your fear, you're never going to get to those tools anyway. Mm-hmm. So I've seen a lot of black belts freeze up. When I worked the doors, I used to work the doors for about 12 years. And it didn't matter how good of a black belt he was, but if your mindset wasn't there and you didn't know how to deal with your own fear, it didn't work. You froze up. So the biggest fight you're going to have is with yourself, Yeah. And when you know how to control that, then you can control everything else and control, and that's what I found. That's wow. But even at this age, I walk in and I'm a lot calmer now, but it's still there, and it's a good thing it's there because that means adrenal gland, adrenaline kicks in and all that, and it gives you a little more juice in the tank, and you get going.
Yeah. One of the questions that I had for you is, I agree with you. I think learning from fear is important, right? And, as a father, is what I teach my kids. It's not don't be afraid. It's learn how to be afraid, right? Yeah. Like, I think those are very important things. What would you typically, what's your last thought as, right before the ref signals go? Like, are you just locked in at that point, or are you aware of what's going? Because I think that it's very cerebral, right, what you do. Like, like you said, at some level, I'd imagine that the bar is physically relatively equal. Like, you both understand, you're both probably well trained, and your physical skills are probably similar, right? And it's a mental edge that gets you over the top. And I think that's why we love sports so much, right? At a high level, is it's all strategic, and it's it's trying to get your leverage to go. What's the last thing that you think of before a match starts for you, do you think?
Well, I'll tell you, before I walk in the ring is the worst part, because you feel like you're a caged animal. You're sitting in this change room, and the guy before the fight, before you hear the cheers, and then they bring in this body. They drag this guy in. He's just being knocked out, and all this stuff you're seeing. You're going, oh my God. So for me, it was the worst part was being in the change room waiting. You just feel like, but once I start walking out into the ring, all that goes away. And when I got in the ring, I was quite happy. Yeah, because I knew
a rush of joy, right? Because you have to. I would imagine you enjoy doing that. That's why you're doing it still, right? And so
And then, like you say, people, sometimes the fight is won right at the staring, when they're staring at each other, the referee calls you together. I've seen guys lose the fight right there.
No.
I mean, how many times did you see Mike Tyson just stare at the guy and that was it? You knew, that was it. It was done.
8 seconds later, it was going to be over.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like I remember you, Stan, when we were training in Krav Maga, and you were telling me never look at that guy's eyes.
Yeah.
You just have to track his shoulders. Just track his shoulders. You'll be able to see what's happening. Never look at his eyes. And I've always kept that in the back of my head from that training because it's true. If somebody got them crazy eyes, you just don't want to be looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah. If it was the two ways I look at it is if it was a self-defense thing, I'm looking more at the shoulder. Like I make a triangle from their chin to their shoulders because now I can see their hands, which I want to see if there's something in them. But if it's a stare off in the ring, I'll glance at their eyes just to see if I can make them shift their eyes. Then I know about them.
It's a measuring contest at that point.
Yeah.
Right. You're just trying to gauge who your competition is.
So it's a game, eh? It's a game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a fun game, I think, but
for some people like it so much,
Yeah.
So when you reach the pinnacle, you reach championship level, does that change your whole entire outlook on what you're doing?
Yeah, because I always like to be the underdog. I don't want to be the guy where they're chasing, because then the pressure's on you, right? If you hold the world title, everybody's out gunning for you.
Yeah.
When I was going up, I was thinking, I'm the underdog. It wasn't as much pressure, and once you get to the top, it's hard to keep it because I don't know. It's like you got to climb that mountain. How many times you gonna, like the guys that keep winning the titles and retaining titles, like say 6-7 times, boys, they got a good strong mindset because there's a lot of work going in when 2-3 months of your that all you're doing is working out and thinking about the guy.
Yeah, I think that's almost a universal sports truth is that the defending a championship is almost harder than getting the initial one.
That's right.
You're dealing with so much more. You're dealing with the weight of expectations, right? To come back without imagine. You have the people that are gunning for you, right? The spotlight's on you, so everyone knows that you're the target. So like they're training for you while you're training just to be the best version of yourself, I'd imagine. So it's interesting to me just to, listen to people that defend titles and win titles to talk about that it's also mental. I think.
To stay on top for many years, that's something else.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I just want to read some of these things here that's on your page here, Stan. Okay, this is some of your titles and some of your accolades here. So you were inducted into the Greater Victoria Hall of Fame back in 2014. WKA World Middleweight Karate Champion 94 to 95. Canadian representative of the World Savate Championship 1989. WKA World Junior Middleweight Champion 1987 to 88. Canadian Super Welterweight Kickboxing Champion 1986. 1,000 competitive matches. You coached Mike McDonald, K1 Las Vegas champion. Chris Peak, King of the Cage champion. Adam Gable, King of the Cage champion. Donnie Lalonde. And not only that, but let's just talk about in 2006. Now, I remember you were telling me that you've been featured in Black Belt magazine 3 times. I knew of the 2, but April 2006, where you were listed as the 4th toughest. And this is behind Gene LaBelle, Benny the Jet Urquidez, and Jeff Thompson. So for people that are uneducated about this, Gene LaBelle is the grandfather of judo. Benny the Jet is a legend in fighting. Jeff Thompson created a whole entire way of fighting using Krav Maga and other self-defense things. in England that Lee Morrison ended up really was one of his students. And then there's you, Stan, and it's like, this is a who's who.
Yeah. It's funny because as a little kid, I was always reading black belt magazines. So
who wasn't?
Yeah. And then to be in the magazines when you get older is, that was really neat. It's like, yeah. I would never thought I would ever get into black belt magazines, but it's funny how, it's funny what happens in life. And if you push, you put hard work in, and yeah, it just happened. And, but going back to that whole toughest man thing, I don't put a lot into that one because, in 2003, Black Belt magazine came up to Victoria from LA. Lito Angelus came up. He's a writer for Black Belt magazine. He taught the LA's. He would teach. He was teaching self-defense to the LA Police Department. And that's what he was, LAPD. But he came up and did a story, and the story was supposed to be on southpaws. That's all it was supposed to be. It was about how southpaws deal with in sport and if in a street situation. So I just showed him a bunch of things that I did as a doorman, and and they were almost the same as what I would do if I was in the ring. There was changes, obviously. You got rules, but and then he came, I guess he liked what he saw, and then he came back up in, was it 2006 or something, and he was just picking my brain, asking me questions again, and I said, well, what's this magazine? Oh, we'll just do something on self-defense and that. Well, when that magazine came out, I had no idea that he didn't know. He did not know till the owner of the magazine said, no, we got to, spice this up. They're into selling magazines. So what they did was they took all the interviews of 10 guys and said, well, toughest guy. And I just shook my head. I went, no, this is not what, it caught me off guard. I don't even think any of the other guys knew. And, but they want to sell magazines. So that's what it came out to. And I was a little deterred and pissed off because how do you match people up? Look at there's how many billions of people in the world. There's some Samoan walking around right now and say, nah, I don't think that guy's so tough. So, 300-pound Samoan on an island that throws rocks around, and now you're going to say, yeah, you're tougher. Like, give me a break. But it was nice that we were put in there. If it was about saying, the guy's an accomplished martial artist and he knows the street stuff, well, then that's good. But I didn't buy into that toughest man thing. No, I was a little embarrassed about it, actually.
I personally think just to be breathed in the same sentences as Gene LaBelle and Benny and Benny the Jet, and that's impressive, Stan. That to me, that's amazing. And you are so humble. You are so humble to be saying what you were saying. I've taken a kick from you holding pads, and I did not like it, Stan. So,
the guys that were on that list, there was about four or five of them that I've had at my gym.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it a pretty small community?
It's a small group that
everyone knows everyone, kind of.
The reality self-defense side of it is a small group, very small. And so what I did was I always would find the top guys that I liked, and I'd they'd come up to a seminar. So, Benny Urquidez, Jeff Thompson, I've talked to him. I wanted to go to England and meet him and just pick his brain. But there was Jim Harrison and David James, a bunch of different guys that we've had at our gym, and
Wow.
they all, you can always learn. It's really neat. My world's really cool because I get to live out something that a lot of people wish they could do, and I've met Gene LaBelle, and all those guys. So it's dreams have come true for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite a story. I
Yeah.
think if you want to, like I said, being a father, I have 5 kids, and I want my kids to find their passion, like it sounds like you have, right, and find a way to make it work. That's what you want out of life. That you find your joy and you figure out how to track it down. And so,
Yeah, that's everybody. Everybody has to find what they're good at, or not, what they really like to do. You gotta, you gotta love what you do, and then it's not work, eh?
Yeah. That's the thing, right? That's what they say. You find what you love to do, and you don't work a day in your life.
That's right. My parents are asking me when I'm going to get a job. Everybody's retiring. My dad's asking me, "You going to get a job one day?" I go, "Yeah, I don't know."
Yeah, maybe. You're still thinking about it?
Yeah. Right. Well, with this COVID, maybe I might have to find a job.
Well, it's really changing the way of the world, right? It's interesting. It's got to be even more so in your realm, right?
It's a tough time right now. We're probably at a half of what we usually can take in because, they put a guideline at 10 people in a class. Well, I'm used to 30 people in each class right now, and there's only so many hours in a day, so people aren't, if they can't go they got to make an appointment to go to class and they can't get in. Well, how long are they going to stay with you?
Yeah.
So it's bars, restaurants, and gyms. They're getting hit heavy.
Yeah. I'd imagine so. Yeah. It's unfortunate. Anywhere that you have to be in close proximity to somebody probably just feels like it's probably taking a hit. And so
it's put a real damper on my life. I just got back in March when it hit. I just got back from Thailand. I've been training there for 3 months. I was getting for a 6th decade. I was going to fight one guy. Guy called me out. I couldn't believe that. How many guys call out 60-year-olds? But
well, he read Black Belt magazine. He wanted to climb the ladder.
He wanted to climb the ladder. That's right.
I think he got more. I don't think he got a lot of accolades for calling me out. People were kind of this guy, but anyway, no, I trained for 3 months, and we were going to fight in August.
Yeah.
This August just passed, and everything went. They had to shut everything down. So, but I got in good shape anyway, so I got something out of it.
When this whole thing passes, would you get back in to go for that 6th decade? I mean, does it feel like?
Yeah, I've always said if as long as my body parts are working, like even at this age, and you put in a good workout, and always something. Your knee swells, your hand. It's when you get old. It's not that your mind is still young, but your body, the vehicle's. It's an old truck. You only fix the truck so long.
Yeah. Takes a while to get it started, and you hope it across town sometimes. But
if you don't start the truck at least a couple of times a week, it ain't going to start.
Once it stops starting, it's just dead in the water, right? No more getting it going.
I have to work out every day just to keep. If I miss 3-4 days, boy, I feel it.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm 41. I'm not old by any stretch of anyone's imagination, and I live in that world too. If I'm not actively doing something, weights or some kind of cardio or something, I got real problems 4 or 5 days in, and struggle even to get back up and go. You're sore again for a couple of weeks and all those things, and I'm learning the downside of 40 real quick. It feels like.
When I was 42, I was having my 2nd cage fight.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I had to learn. I thought I'd better hurry up and do some MMA because was getting up there, so I'd take a couple of fights.
Wow. So right now, my question to you, because we've gone over a lot of this here. You've been watching the evolution of MMA, as all of us. I mean, all of us are that age right now that we've seen it from no rules really, except for like no biting, no scratching, no weight categories, to what it is now. What's your feeling right now on MMA right now, from its evolution to where it is right now?
Well, they're amazing athletes. They're the most underpaid people, as what I think anyway. They're, because you got to have you got to have a boxing coach, a wrestling coach, jiu-jitsu coach, kickboxing. I mean, you're doing everything, right? And the work those guys put in, and their careers aren't long.
Oh no.
You lose one or two, a couple of fights, and Dana White's throwing you're out. That's a hard way to make a living, I tell you. Yeah. So, but the evolution of MMA has changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they are amazing athletes. They really are.
It's just it amazes me the amount of gas you need to have to go, because it's not just striking, but just the grappling, and the grappling is what will tire you right out. The grappling, because you're carrying that weight, or that person's on you. I remember the first time you showed me shrimping, and I'm like, this is a horrible exercise.
Yeah. They try to shrimp with somebody on top of you.
Yeah. This is a horrible exercise. I don't know if I like it.
I find that the hardest part people don't understand is when two guys get back up, like when they've been on the ground for a little while and then they get back up and everybody goes, wow, how come they're not hitting? They don't realize that it's like you lifting weights. Your arms swell up a bit, and you get up, and your arms, you try to throw some punches when you've done weights. It's useless. Yeah. Like they gotta wait till the blood flow goes back, and but they do. They get up and they start fighting. And when I would get up off the ground, I would go, God, how come I punch so lousy right now? I couldn't believe how shitty I was punching. And what it is your arms, like I say, just lift a bunch of weights and then see if you can hit a bag. You're useless, That's the hard part.
Yeah. That's been the fascinating thing for me, just from watching UFC from the early days. Now we're at, over 250 events, is learning and understanding, like, just the physical toll that those guys have, right? I mean, it's amazing to me to watch someone get punched in the face repeatedly and still continue to come back out round after round after round. Like, mentally, right, we could probably argue maybe the toughest athletes running around is fighters.
Yeah.
But physically, man, two rounds of that, like, I think most athletes, elite athletes, are going to be gassed out. It's a different level of exertion. And so that's what's fascinating to me about it. It's the strategy, but it's also just the will of getting your body to go while trying to deflect someone else's will, and all how those things all match up. It's fascinating to me. Yeah.
And then knowing that when you go across the cage, somebody's actually trying to take your head right off.
Yeah, they see someone that's, especially in the UFC world, like, that's their livelihood, right? And I imagine the same for you guys. You don't want to waste what you put in, the work you put in, right? You're meeting someone that's put in work for you. And so,
sure.
It's fascinating for me.
Yeah.
We know that you've coached some championship level fighters, and so what I would be curious to know is what's your maybe best advice you can give people that want to train to be anything? Like, what makes someone the best version of themselves as they're preparing for to be something?
Never listen to anybody else. Don't listen to somebody telling you. You got to have it in your head.
Yeah.
What you want to do. Like,
say both ways. I feel like that's true. You don't want to necessarily take all the praise from people either. You want to kind of accept it, be thankful for it, but not let it live in your brain too long, because I feel like that can be detrimental to you just as the negative, you shouldn't be doing that, you can't do that, can be is people gassing you up saying that you're better than maybe you are.
Yeah, you got to listen to yourself. You got to, because you're going to have the the naysayers, and then you got your buddies that, oh yeah, you're a killer, you're this, there's got to be a fine line where you got to listen to yourself. And you know your body better than anybody else, and you know what's going on inside your head. But you got to be, again, you got to have the right people around you too. You don't want, some of your buddies mean the best, but they have no idea what was going on, because they're sitting on the outside. Once you step in, it's a whole different world. But best version, I would say, is again, what you were saying basically, Brad. If you have that passion and drive, don't let anybody tell you can't do it. My first 2 years, I'd taken karate, and I never knew how to box. Well, then I went to a boxing gym, got my nose broken 6 times, and I was thinking to myself, like, this is the stupidest sport I've ever done. Why would I even, at that point I thought, I'm not going nowhere. How am I going to, every time I come, I get my nose busted here. So, and I just kept learning and toughing it out and learning how to move my head. And then all of a sudden, I could have quit right back then. When I was a young man, and most people would have. They would have said, this is just completely stupid. But, if you have a passion, like you say, and I, as a young kid, I already knew what I wanted. I knew I was going to have a gym. I knew I used to draw a picture. I was so bad at math. I knew I sucked at math. So instead of doing my test, I was drawing a picture, and the teacher came by, pulled my paper, and looked at me and said, "What the hell is this?" And it was some guy with a belt on, with his hands up with boxing gloves on. And I says, "Well, I'm going to be a kickboxer." And the guy said, "What's a kick?" Like the teacher had no idea what a kickboxer. This was in the 70s, And I said, "Well, you'll see what it is one day, And but that's what I mean. I already knew what I wanted to be when I was 15, 14 years old.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So true.
Yeah, it's important. I think, you're really an inspiration, I think, for the people that you run across. I'm inspired talking to you. I want to take what you've taught me, or just what I've learned from you in the 30 minutes we've been talking, and share it with my kids. And backs those things up, right? That's what you want. That's what I want for, people, is to be the best versions of themselves, however that is, And I'm grateful to talk about it.
I've got 2 sons, and I never, ever pushed them into fighting or anything. I told them be good to learn self-defense. I think it's like swimming lessons,
right.
Learn to swim. We're surrounded by,
like, you might need to know how to do it one day, right? Like, that's the thing. You should be prepared.
You don't have to be a gold medalist, as long as you can tread water to get out of there. Same thing with a fight. Just know a couple of things to get out of there.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a black belt. Just enough, just to get home. That's how I look.
Yeah.
That's how I look at self-defense. I look at it just like swimming lessons.
Well, Stan, I remember when you were instructing me, I mean, some of the greatest things I've ever learned was actually with you. Just some historical stuff about fighting, like how people in World War II would never bite. And you would think, you're in a trench, you're in something like that, you'd bite, do whatever you can to get out of there. And I mean, being able to learn from somebody like you has helped me so much just in my own personal path, because your whole entire outlook on everything changes. Your self awareness changes. You're more aware of your surroundings, and on top of that, you're also very confident that, listen, situations can arise. I know I'm going to do everything I can to get home, and that's not even just saying always in a violent manner. I'm just saying that you're so aware, and that's the one thing I really appreciated from your courses, was that you're just so aware of your surroundings, aware of what's happening, aware that you need to get out of this situation or embrace the situation. And Stan, I mean, I've all I can say is like, thank you. That's all I can say for all of that.
You know how, people, like I said earlier, people freeze up and stuff like that. And I think a lot of it is, when we have kids, for example, like kids in, say, elementary school, there's a fire alarm goes off, right? They train for that. They know where the exit is. They line up, and they know what to do. Well, there's a game plan. They have a game plan. And when that fire does hit, no matter how scared the kids are going to be, they're going to line up. They're going to go for that exit. And that's the difference. They survive. If you have a game plan, that's what keeps you. Yes, you're scared. We're scared. When the assault comes, two guys step up on you, and you're scared. There's no way you're not scared. I'm telling everybody, don't wait. Don't think that you're wearing a black belt's going to not be. You're scared, but it's how you handle that fear. Yeah. And if you've got a game plan, that's half of it. That's more than half of it, I would say. You got to have so when it comes to these scenarios or martial arts type things of self-defense, I say to people, do you know what you're going to do? Do you have a plan? When you travel, you and the wife traveled, and you guys have some kind of code or what to say if when the shit hits the fan, you better know what to do. And if you don't, guess what? You're going to freeze up. And what are you going to run and leave the wife there, or what? I don't know. You better have a plan, because she's going to be pissed off.
Yep. You gotta have a plan. Yeah, it's always interesting, right? And there's that famous advice that everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that, but I also think that I think it's different. You can think about what you want to know, but if you're prepared, if you prepared your plan, right? If you have a plan and you're prepared to execute it, I think being hit in the face, so to speak, isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world. Well,
right there, Brad. My plan is to punch you in the face before they punch me. Yeah. I tell people that all the time. Don't be on the defensive. If you're defending, you're losing. Yeah. Right. All I got to do is know your intentions, and he'll make his intentions pretty clear. Yep. And if you got nowhere to go, you better start doing it. And
make a way to go, right? That's kind of how I always feel about those things. I find I don't really find myself in difficult situations because I feel like I can navigate situations relatively well. And so
that's smart. Yeah. So that it always came down to the awareness, right?
Yep. Yeah. You trust that gut. You know what I mean? That gut will tell you. Like that gut feels those things out for you. In my experience, right?
Yeah. There's people you can't.
Yep.
There's actually people that don't see things coming. They don't pick up signs, and then in the animal world, same thing, right? They're the ones who get eaten. Yep. Guess what? We're the same thing. We're just an animal. I've had that where I've tried to teach people. Yeah, I don't care. I can give you all the tools in the world, but if you don't know when to use them, it's just too late. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all interesting on some level, like how it all breaks apart differently for people, and able to do, or just genetically slowed down for, or whatever. But it's it's a key. I think I talk a lot about fatherhood just when I talk to people in general, but my kids are relatively little. My oldest is 16, all the way down to 4. But their entire lives as we go out, it's always we're always having conversations as we're moving. Hey, do you see this? Like I want you to watch for those things. And it's cars and it's people, and it's me trying to build their awareness of just paying attention to not being afraid of surroundings. I don't want to raise jumpy humans, because I feel like that's the thing that, gets you where you need to be. But
if I tell people all the time, we live in Victoria, which is, to me, one of the safer places to be if I got to live somewhere. But you travel, if you like traveling, and I go to schools and do seminars at like Oak Bay School or something like that. And the kids sometimes go, well, why do we got to learn this? I go, you like traveling? Yeah. I says, well, guess what? you might find it's not like Victoria.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
people
Well,
out
it's
there.
all in the confidence, right? It's the way you carry yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of those things, I find it, people that I know that feel similarly is how you carry yourself. You can be in Vegas and there's those card flippers, right? I don't remember in Vegas, but those people, you can make eye contact with them, but if you carry yourself a certain way, then I can come talk to you. It's the
That's
same
right.
way when I walk downtown in streets and when I go to Mexico, it's the same way. If you carry yourself a certain way, typically, right? I feel like, you don't run into as many situations as you would if you're timid.
Yeah. Well, and I tell people you don't have to be paranoid. You just gotta be, again, have a game plan. Know, if you're gonna stay at a hotel, know everything around that location. Ask the guy at the lobby what areas would you stay away from. Things like that. You can find out a lot. But I love traveling, and I've been some places where it's a lot different from Victoria. You
Brazil.
Yeah.
You gotta watch yourself.
Yeah. Brazil would be a tough place, I think, to navigate around there, especially the favelas there. It's like,
yeah. We've been out of Mexico 6-7 times, and there's areas of Mexico right now that aren't what they used to be.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like to have a good time, and sometimes I find myself in different places that I didn't intend to be when I set out that night. And it's always that thing is you're always kind of paying attention to the surroundings, and it is what it is. But
if you want to find trouble, you can find it.
Always.
Yeah, I know.
Always.
You,
Find trouble.
well, you guys, you go to Bangkok. I mean, I was in Bangkok, never had a problem. I've been there so many times, and I know other guys that had nothing but problems.
Yeah.
So all depends on what you're doing.
Hey, Stan, I want to get this out there. So listen, anybody that wants to go out there and learn some world-class instruction, check out Peterec's Martial Arts there, 831 Fisgard Street, Victoria, British Columbia. Do you mind if I give your phone number there for business there too, Stan?
Go ahead.
250-389-6166. Let me tell you something. You will not go wrong. This man is a legend, but not only that, a wise man, a man that you will learn so much from. And Stan, I thank you so much. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Thanks for having me. It's always nice. When are you going to come out to Victoria?
Oh, buddy, I got to wait for this COVID stuff here right now. So the military's got me right now in a lockdown. So, the Atlantic bubble, it's crazy time. So I'm waiting right now for the vaccine. I can't even lie,
Yeah. Okay.
But I want to come out there because I miss everybody over there. So Brad's out in your area there down in
when this whole thing clears up, Stan, I'm gonna take the ferry up there. I'm gonna come walk in your gym and shake your hand. I think
it'd be nice.
I'd like to see you in person, so I'll see you soon.
It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, you
absolutely. Too. Hey, what do you think about your Canucks there? I know that they exited a little early, but pretty good showing, I thought.
Yeah, they're one of the hardest working teams. They got a great coach. They all buy in. They all bought into the system. So I think they can go somewhere, but they got to get some bigger guys in the back end to look after the little guys. They were going to get crushed. Even if they got past Vegas, I don't think there was anything left of them.
I was impressed with them to bring Vegas to 7 games. That's no small feat. So
yeah, but they got to get a little bigger. They're just not big enough.
So Brad's been comparing that if there's a lot of hair product in these NHLers in their hair, that they're probably not as tough because the Leafs seems to have the most hair products that I've ever seen in a team. But Vancouver, I'd say probably not as much hair product. They look pretty tough out there. So I thought so.
If that's true, they're going to have to shave everybody's heads because 50 years I haven't got a Stanley Cup, so let's get it going. I can get one of my haircuts.
See, there you go, Matt. There you go. Look at that. No hair product. Tough.
That's right. Yeah.
That works.
You know what? You know how this happened? This is from watching the Canucks. You pull your hair.
I agree that, I'll tell you, I'm torn. I've been a Canucks fan my whole life. I live, just an hour south of the border. And so I tell Sean all the time I'm Canadian light. but now I can tell my allegiance because we get a team in Seattle, and I can't roll over. I can't quite quit Vancouver. So that's where my loyalty sits. So we'll see how the rest of it goes. But
you love suffer like the rest of us, do you?
Yeah. Well, that's the Northwest way, right? That's all we know how to do is suffer.
Yes.
Suffer in paradise.
It's so funny, right? Because you're a Canucks fan. You're a Canucks fan, really, for hockey in Seattle. But Seattle at least had a championship there, and I'm a Leafs fan. I mean, where do we start with that?
And a Cleveland fan, you got that going for you.
And a Browns fan too. That's right. Yeah. Where do you start with that mess?
My father was a Leafs fan, still is a Leafs fan, and he always tells me at least he got to see him win a Stanley Cup. He says you might never get to see. Yeah, he might be right.
I know.
We had our shot a couple of years ago. It felt like, right? We just
I know. We had to burn down half the city because of that. Yeah.
I've never seen anything quite like it. It's like, you guys
we were up there for that. Speaking of intuition, me and my brother were there, and like we saw that coming, and we headed home. We just thought it's not the place for us.
I was in Thailand, and the Thais. It was on the news, and the Thais were saying, "What is wrong with you people? You guys are that crazy? Burning everything down just because of a hockey game?" It's really hard to explain that one. I go, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. That's the mentality, right? It's just
a bunch of Thais, right?
Yeah. Oh my.
Hey Stan, well, best of luck with all your work today. I know you got some classes to get to and those things, so we appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks again. Thanks for having me, and Sean, I'm hoping to see you one day, or maybe even pop out that way.
Hey, if you pop out this way, my home is always open to you. Absolutely not a problem. So, but I'm hoping that sooner rather than later I'll be able to come out to Victoria, and we will definitely get together, and we'll share a real beer. I know you have to go and do some training right there, but we'll share.
I couldn't go in smelling like beer for class. Okay, well, thanks again.
Yep, thanks.
Absolutely. Have a great day, Stan. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye. What a legend. What a absolute legend.
That was a lot of fun. A lot of good insight too, right? I mean, that's just the thing. You're talking to a guy that knows what it's like to get mixed up in some things, and life's in those moments, right, where you're actively participating in a fight with someone else, like that's, you understand a lot about yourself. I appreciate a lot of what he had to say, so that was good. So Stan, again, thank you. Cheers to you, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, that was it, man. Episode 7, right? Maybe one of the best in the books. I'm a fan of 7s.
Man, Game 7's episode 7. I just wanted to touch over. So we were talking about the hockey there. We already talked about it. What is Boston doing right now? I don't even understand. They're making this into a series, aren't they?
Yeah,
making this into a series.
Yeah, it's interesting, and we'll wonder about what happens tonight with the Lakers, right? I mean, I don't know how comfortable anybody feels knowing Denver's track record in 2020 in the bubble being down 3-1. I think the Lakers need to close out tonight. And I wonder how we see the urgency come back for Miami to close out so they get to the finals, because nobody wants to get any extra wear and tear before they go face LeBron and those fellas. So Anthony Davis being out in Game 5, it sounds like. I wouldn't bet on that. I bet he plays, at least in some capacity. But yeah, it's interesting to watch Boston. I read the article this morning saying that they felt like they relaxed and were able to turn it on in the second half and get over on Miami. I don't doubt that and disagree. I also, there's been some, just like we saw in the NHL last night, there's some questionable NBA reffing going on too in the playoffs. I felt like there was that way in the last Lakers game. I felt like it was that way last night in Boston. I'm generally a conspiracy theorist. I don't feel like there was conspiracy to find here, but it's interesting for those things. It looks like And good news for you, your Jays are back in the postseason.
Back in the postseason, baby. Yeah, back in the postseason. I mean, okay, let's just pump the brakes here, okay? So shortened season, thank goodness. Yeah. I don't know, because last weekend, I remember,
or last 60, like that feels like,
yeah, I mean, like last season, well, no, I'm sorry, last week we were getting punished by the Yankees, right? Like they were just home run. It was just disgusting. Let's face it. I mean, yeah, okay, I'm very happy that we made the postseason. 16 teams, right? So 8 per side. And as it stands right now, unless we gain a game, I believe, on the Yankees, we're going to have to play Tampa. And Tampa's been pretty hot. So, I mean.
Well, it's because they had those fevers early.
Yeah. You know, and the other thing, too, is kind of anticlimactic because we're not even playing in Toronto. It's in Buffalo. Yeah. And not to say that I'm not feeling it, because I'm definitely going to watch some postseason baseball, especially since we're in it. But it is interesting that, you know, it's a different playoff format, so it's no longer just a wild card and everything there. So a little bit different than it has been in at least over 2 decades, right? So it's almost 3 decades, if I'm not mistaken, since they put the wild card in first. So now with this top 16, we're the kind of following that football analogy there. And I really don't know how the games, I got to be honest, I don't know how it works. Is it 1 game? Is it a 3-game series? Like I
haven't heard how it's going to work yet either. It's interesting. You know, there was some conversation about the bubble, and frankly, I just didn't follow it. Just 1 second.
Hey, yeah.
I'll be there just 1 minute. Okay. Cases. It's the wonder child, little Kobe Jojo, the 4-year-old who doesn't care that much. You know, I think they talk about having a bubble in the playoffs and those things, and so I'm interested to see how that shakes together too. So,
see, that's not a bad idea, because then you can kind of support that they're going in and elongate the baseball season maybe a little bit. I really don't know. I'm gonna have to have a look at how.
Right? I mean, it gives everyone a chance, because, like we've talked about with everyone else, it takes the travel out and everyone's on a level playing field. Oh, yeah. A home cooking standpoint, those things like.
And you're guaranteed to crown a champion. You're guaranteed to crown a champion if you go into a bubble.
You can control the bubble, right? And Major League Baseball has been the one pro sport that hasn't really been able to control their environment as much, and so
I don't even understand that, because right now so far, I mean, I know that. How much they fine Pete Carroll there for?
100,000, I think. But I mean, they have like $2 million in fines. I mean, they're trying to be like they want this thing to go off, and you know, traveling once a week, I think, is vastly different than traveling a couple times a week.
Oh no, absolutely, yeah.
So I think, you know, the NBA model is probably what baseball wants to follow, because that's the most similar.
Yeah.
In the series, right? So.
I mean, I don't disagree with the fining, because you do want the NFL season to go off. We're only into week 3 right now. Hey, wow, Thursday night game, Miami, the battle of the facial hair. Yeah. Miami, wow, Fitzpatrick pulled that one off, didn't he? He looked great.
Yeah, but that's Fitzpatrick, right? He puts together 5 games in a row that are beautiful, and then, you know.
Yeah. He was a Bill. I do know. So,
well, he's played for everybody, I think. You know,
as a matter of fact, I was hearing a little tidbit there. I think he is the only player to play for multiple teams and defeat one team like 16 times, which is Jacksonville. He's played for so many different teams and defeated them every time he's played for that.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I think he might be the only quarterback to ever defeat all 32 teams.
That's crazy. Wow. You know, and the thing is that, you know, to me, like, I think we were talking about that he's like your everyday kind of quarterback, you know, like everybody can relate to this guy. And people are calling for Tua already, and it's like, man, this guy is
a draft pick, right? Like, you ever do we have a new car? You want to drive the new car?
I hear that, but the thing is, I mean, look at KC. I think they did it right by letting Mahomes sit down for a season behind Alex Smith and let him just figure it out from there. You know.
You make the case to do it. I think even Lamar Jackson, for the time he sat, was beneficial for him, right? And so, you know, there's something to be said for that. Not everyone's Russell Wilson, can jump in as a rookie and just go, right? But
no, absolutely not. And what, man, he has so much pressure on him, Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I respect that. I respect him as a quarterback. I respect him as a human being. Respect him as a player. Great athlete. To me, he's just one of those people that you want to really like, because he's that guy that wasn't supposed to go anywhere. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
We were talking about that yesterday when I was in the barbershop. You know, how the difference between Pat Mahomes and Russell Wilson is, you know, Russell is the better player. But Pat gets so much more love, and we think it's because he's 3 inches taller. But, you know, that's really what it is when you compare him. And you compare early years, and maybe it's, you know, some of it's playing in Seattle, some of it's playing in a different era, so to speak. You know, 8 years ago when he came out, but he was really, like, people forget he set the league on fire when he came out. I mean, he's been the guy since he came out. This isn't a gradual ascension to greatness. Like, he's been a difference maker from the jump, right? And so, you know,
yeah, he's been the guy.
Put Russell in any other category. Russell's one of those weird players where you feel like, you know, what Belichick said about him being underrated is probably true, and like he'll be more appreciated when he's, you know, not playing anymore than while he's playing. Just the things he's able to accomplish. Like, if someone that throws a better deep ball, I dare you. I'll wait for you. Just, you know, let me know. I got all day.
Let me tell you this story about Stan. Okay, so literally, I had a whole pass because he wanted to show. So, like, you know, if he's showing a new move to the rest of the school, right? He'll pick one of us as, you know, his little crash test dummy. So he picked me this time, and man, I never felt a knee like that. And let me tell you something, Stan. Okay, I'm 6'1", right? Stan comes up to like my chin. Okay, not a very tall man, but that man packs a wallop. I'm telling you, I never felt anything quite like that. And I was just like, what in the God's good green earth have I? He just hit me. You know, it was like, holy crap.
And probably not full speed and through pads.
No.
He probably hit you at like a relatively good pace, right? I mean, he was trying to set the tone, but
that's exactly it. But it wasn't as full. It wasn't as full. I mean, I would never want to feel as full. I'll tell you that right now.
Yes. Yeah.
Man. Yeah. I was definitely like, wow. Man. Just impressive. I'm so happy that he came on. I'm so happy he said yes. And man, Israel Adesanya, Paulo Costa happening tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like a little bit of bad blood at the weigh in there, so that'll like hype up a little bit, and, you know, potentially fight of the year. Happens tonight with those two, so that'll be interesting to watch. Watching Dominic Reyes too, I think that's going to be something else to watch from a fireworks perspective. So stand by for those fellas.
All right. So tonight is what?
Your boy Diego Sanchez is fighting too. I don't know.
I know. And tonight is what? Game 5 there, Lakers and Nuggets, right? That's tonight.
Yeah.
We got the Stanley Cup playoff tonight that we could be potentially crowning a new champion.
Football tomorrow, a bunch of great matchups.
Yeah. This is great.
Weekend.
Hey, Pac-12's coming back, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Yeah. You know,
just deeper today. There's a bunch of good games kicking off here soon. So, best time of the year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the thing is that, you know, pretty soon, like, hockey's going to be over, basketball's going to be over. We just have football. We got a little bit of baseball postseason. Yeah. But then hockey and basketball are going to be back around January, looks like.
Yeah, right back around.
Right back around, just when the Super Bowl is about to be going. I mean, it's perfect. Yeah. This is perfection.
Yeah. Listen, folks, if you want a silver lining, here it is.
That's perfection.
Okay.
Hey, folks, I had one.
Got one more thing?
I do.
Okay.
So, all right. So we didn't do our one-on-one. I know we're being a little pressed here. So I'm going to give you this one-on-one question there. And let's see how well you do. Okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Who would you say, which city has the most championships in all 4 major North American sports?
I mean, I feel like it's Boston, but I think it's a setup.
I thought it was Boston too.
Let me think. It's got to be on the East Coast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Philly?
Nope, not Philly.
I can't keep guessing. That feels like it's cheap.
Man, so it's not Philly. I'll tell you that right now. Okay, you're gonna kick yourself when I tell you this. Okay,
No,
it is New York. New York.
Yeah, of course, with the Yankees in their 27, right? Or however
That's
many.
right. Yankees. Don't forget about Brooklyn. Yeah, don't forget about Brooklyn. Don't forget about the NBA.
No.
Don't forget about their Stanley Cup championships because they're also including, NBA with the Knicks.
Yeah, listen. Yeah.
So altogether, they have 59 championships.
Well, yeah. And
Now,
I would argue that 50 of those have not happened in our lifetime. So.
Now, Boston.
Congratulations. You're like a bunch of Dallas Cowboy fans.
Boston is number 2.
You never saw. Yeah.
Boston's number 2 with 44.
That makes sense because Boston is such like the little brother town. Like they would call themselves, the city of champions or whatever they call themselves.
Yeah.
But they're not, right? They're the little brother, and so.
But they kind of are, but they're not because don't forget that New York is also including New Jersey as well into their fold, right?
New Jersey hasn't done anything.
Well, they have a few Stanley Cups.
Yeah, but it's not the turning point. They're not winning by 3. They're winning.
No.
So,
very true.
They added that in.
So number 3 is the second city, Chicago.
Yeah.
With 31. Can you guess who number 4 is? And it's strictly hockey. All their championships come from hockey. No, not even.
I guess Detroit had the Pistons.
No, not even close. Not even close.
Montreal.
Wow, there you go, buddy. 26, all from hockey.
All in 1930.
And of course, Toronto is way down number 10.
Wow.
So we're at least in the top 10. I'll take it. I'll take it. We're the top 10. I'll take it, man.
Okay, well, on that note, I'll just go sit in my loserhood of the Pacific Northwest not ever winning anything. Find us on all things social media, Guys Beer Sports. Download us on all places podcast. We appreciate your support. You guys have been amazing, so thank you for that. Sean and I get a blast out doing this, and it's at a level that it seems like you guys do too. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Absolutely. Hey, have a great week, and enjoy Stanley Cup, NBA, and some fighting.
All the things. Okay, talk soon.
Bye.
You've listened to the podcast, but now it's time to visit us in our virtual sports bar. Like us on Facebook at Guys Beer Sports Podcast. Follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel at guys.beer.sports. When you do this, watch for live conversations with Brad and Sean that happen throughout the week, where you can join in with your favorite local beer. You can share your thoughts in the conversation comments with your own uploaded videos or as a guest live commentator. The GBS Virtual Sports Bar is open for business. Come on in, boys and girls.